Hello, my name is Andrew Sugg. I was born in June 1997, the closing years of the 20th century. There was a lot of good things and bad things that happened in this year, but mostly good things. For example, one of the bad things that was probably one of the landmarks of 1997 June was that Timothy Vey, the killer of 168 in a bombing in 1995, was found guilty. He was a decorated veteran that turned terrorist. He was executed later with the death penalty, but was found guilty in 1997 from a CNN report that reported on it first. The first New York Women's Film Festival also happened here in 1997. The 51st Tony Awards happened as well, and a very famous movie now that we know, Titanic, won that award, and it became the most successful movie at the box office in history. Last night at Ballyhoo won as well, but the Titanic is decidedly more important. In 1997 of June, Detroit Red Wings win the Stanley Cup, the NHL championship. This is obviously a very big deal because we don't get many of these, but it was a good year for Detroit hockey. And now we have a list of memorable deaths. Even though it's sad to go over, it's important to mention these people, these famous people. Doc Cheatham, a famous jazz musician, dies at 91. Dennis James, an American TV personality, also dies. George Turner, an author, Australian in his descent, dies. Henry C. Gordon, United States Air Force and astronaut, dies this year. Lev Kopelev, Russian writer and dissident during the communist regime and many revolutions, dies. And Fidel Velázquez Sanchez, a Mexican labor leader, also dies. On June 1st, country music star Kenny Rogers, known most famously for his many hits, The Gambler, and amongst others, marries Wanda Miller. On June 12th, a rapper and actor I don't really have to explain much about, it's already pretty well known, Snoop Dogg, marries Shantae Taylor, his high school sweetheart. He's still around today, he doesn't look any younger. June 17th, Grace Hightower marries Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro obviously being a very famous actor, known for The Godfathers, amongst more comedy films lately, but he's a very famous actor, often starring along Joe Pesci, but he was married on June 17th. June 24th, Halle Berry divorces Major League Baseball outfielder Daniel Justice. So this marks a couple of bad divorces, but, you know, it evens out in the end. And June 25th, Lauren Holly divorces Jim Carrey after a 9-month marriage. That'd be strange to be married to a comedian such as him, but it didn't work out in the end. Hong Kong, after over a century and a half, earns its independence from Great Britain after the Opium Wars in the 19th century, and is sent back and is placed under Chinese rule once again. Another good happening for the Michigan sports teams is that the Michigan Wolverines win the 1997 Football National Championship, a momentous occasion. Very good year for Michigan sports. Amongst other things for the sports fanatics that it's understandable if you don't understand, but if you don't, shame on you. Charles Woodson becomes the first defensive player, not offensive player, to win the Heisman Trophy, which is a very prestigious award because it's usually awarded to famous running backs, wide receivers, and mostly quarterbacks. Harry Potter was published in 1997 by J.K. Rowling's, and it must not be a coincidence because, as I've been told, I look very much like Harry Potter. You should have seen me when I had my round glasses. I could just need a little lightning bolt, bit of pimpling on there, and then I'd look just like him, which you probably already know. Christopher Wallace, also known as the very famous rapper during the time, Biggie Smalls, is shot and killed. Much like Tupac, his rival, a couple years before. Madeleine Albright is the first woman sworn in as Secretary of State, which is a very big deal that was for women's rights, and also not only women's rights, but legitimizing women as people in places of power. not just like the First Lady and other things. The Secretary of State is obviously the main diplomat of the United States government, and so that's a very big deal. And the most important deal out of all that we all must understand, more than all these deaths and all these inventions and all these famous events, is that Pokemon is first introduced in June of 1997. So, June of 1997, it was a good year, even better month, obviously. And it was in the closing years of the 20th century, and it was a good, strong finish, leading into the latter parts of the 20th century and eventually into Y2K in the year of 2000. Thank you for your time. I will be leaving now.